Hi, I'm Jacob with Frontrunner Outfitters, and today we're going to be installing the new Pro Bed Rack onto this 3rd gen Toyota Tundra. Now, like our Tacoma kits, the front mounts actually utilize the OEM bed tracks on the left and the right, and the rear mounts get screwed into the bed and through bolted, basically doubling as a bed stiffener. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the parts we're going to be needing for the install. Here are the parts you're going to be receiving to complete this installation. You'll be receiving the upper and lower extrusions, the Tundra specific mounting brackets, the front and rear leg assemblies, as well as the diagonal braces, the rear finishing brackets, and the top trusses here. Additionally, you'll also be receiving all hardware necessary to be able to complete this. Lastly, you will also be receiving this fitment guide. Let's go ahead and take a look at the tools you're going to be needing to complete this install. As per the fitment guide, here are some of the tools you're going to be needing to complete this installation. You're going to be needing a bubble level with some clamps, electric drill, you're going to need a 19 socket, 10 and 13 millimeter sockets, a 4 and a 9 millimeter drill bit, a couple different options of ratchets, 10 and a 13 wrenches. You're going to be needing a T55 Torx. That's going to be needed to remove the bed bolts in the truck bed, 4 and 5 millimeter Allens or T-handles. You're going to be needing a tape measure, a marker, and some anti-seize. Now, for ease of installation, you can use any combination of electric drill, ratchets, T-handles, or Allen keys, whatever works best for you. You just have to take caution to not over tighten any of the fasteners. Now, additionally, with the parts, you're also going to be receiving this extended T30 Torx bit. Now, this is going to be necessary in order to install the extrusions onto the Pro Bed Rack frame. Now, let's go ahead and get started on the install. All right, so the first step in this installation, we're actually going to loosely pre-assemble the front half of the Pro Bed Rack. That includes installing the front half onto the front OEM mounts. Once we get that, then we're going to go ahead and place it on the truck bed. All right, so we just finished pre-assembling the front half of the Pro Bed Rack. One thing of note is we actually fully tightened down the mounts to the frame here on both sides. The rest of the entire frame here is actually loosely assembled. Let's go ahead and start placing it onto the truck bed. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and place the carriage bolts and plates into the OEM tracks. You start by popping these off in the front here. And all you do is simply slide them in. And then once you're all done, go ahead and pop these back into place. Do this for driver and passenger side. Once you get the plates mounted into the tracks, go ahead with some help, grab the frame, and you can actually place it onto the truck bed. All right, we have just completed the installation of the Pro Bed Rack onto this 3rd gen Toyota Tundra. The purpose of this video is to provide a visual aid for installation, but does not replace the fitment guide. We strongly recommend following this fitment guide and referring to this video when needed. Ed, let's go. Hand threaded? Okay. In a second. Oh. Okay, so we got the front half of the frame here loosely attached to the carriage bolts here on the tracks. When you do have these attached, go ahead and slightly move it off of the front of the vehicle so that way they have some room to work here. At this point, you can now prepare and install all the extrusions, the upper and lower. Okay, before installing the extrusions, be sure to apply the provided foam tape to the underside of the lower extrusions as illustrated here. All right, we're gonna go ahead and start with installing the lower extrusions first. Go ahead and place it on top of the bedside like so. One tip is to actually apply some anti-seize to the tip of the thread forming screws before installing it. And that will make it a little bit easier to install. All right, once you get this lower one installed down here, go ahead and repeat the procedure on the opposite side. All right, so we got all the extrusions attached to the front half of the frame here. At this point, we can now slide the entire frame assembly back towards the front of the bed. Okay, now at this point, we can go ahead and prep and install the rear mounts. I'm all done, friend, thank you. All right, so we got the front half of the frame pushed back towards the front of the vehicle. At this point, we're now gonna mock up and drill the holes for the rear mounts. You take the two 10 millimeters out of the side of the taillight here, remove the taillight. Also, you gotta take the T55 Torx bolt out of the bed here. You can go ahead and put those aside. We actually have replacement bolts that you're gonna be using instead. Once you have all these items removed here, go ahead and place the provided spacers as well as the rear bracket onto the bed. Use the provided bolt and washer to loosely install it into the bed. Now, once you have that placed, loosely placed like so, go ahead and take your marker and actually mark the drilling points there. We've already gone ahead and done this, but essentially all you do, line it up straight, mark it. Once you have everything marked, go ahead and remove it. And then you can center punch and drill out the holes. Okay, so once you have the rear mounts fully tightened down, through bolted and everything good to go, you can go ahead and reinstall the rear tail lights. And after that, you can start assembling the rear frame. Okay, so the rear mounts have been fully installed. Rear taillights are back together now. We can go ahead and install the rear frame. Okay, so we've got the rear frame assembled and attached to the rear mounts. Please note that the rear frame is actually fully tightened down here. The top truss is still partially assembled or loose. At this point, we can now attach the extrusions from the front here down to the back to the rear frame. All you have to do is take the extrusions here, you can slide it back to the rear frame, and then you can use the thread forming screws to then attach them. All right, so you can go ahead and complete the rest of the extrusions. All right, so the extrusions have now been fully tightened down to the rear of the frame, as well as the front. At this point, you can go ahead and tighten down the mounting brackets at the front of the tracks here. After that, we will then center and tighten down the front diagonal braces and the top trusses. Okay, so now I'm gonna show you how to square up the front diagonal braces. What you need to do is you need to take the bubble level, place it underneath like so, and then using some clamps, either wood clamps or anything that you can, go ahead and clamp down the bubble level on both ends here. Now basically clamp it down until everything appears level, and from there you can go ahead and tighten down the fasteners and it should hold. Okay, so once you have these front fasteners tightened down, you can go ahead and remove the clamp and the bubble level, and it should all hold square. After that, you can go ahead and tighten down the rest of the diagonal braces. Okay, so front diagonal braces have been fully tightened down. We're now going to center and tighten down the top trusses here at the rear and the front. All right, we're on the home stretch. Last of the major components to install onto this Pro bed rack frame is the rear finishing brackets. You can do this for the driver and passenger sides. All right, rear finishing brackets are installed. Once you confirm that all the fasteners are in fact tight, you can go ahead and apply nut caps where applicable. And at that point, you're free to go ahead and install your Slimline 2 rack or any optional side-mounted accessories. Sweet. All right, we have just completed the installation of the Pro bed rack onto this 3rd gen Toyota Tundra. The purpose of this video is to provide a visual aid for installation, but does not replace the fitment guide. We strongly recommend following this fitment guide and referring to this video when needed. Now get out there and find your adventure.